Rick Scarborough and Recover America, thank you for watching once again. We have a very special guest. I met her only yesterday. We were both at the State Board of Education to show support for those who are objecting to what's being rammed through and will be the curriculum for our children for the next 12 years if approved, inclusive of which is a whole lot of miseducation and indoctrination concerning the homosexual agenda. And so we were there to speak out. Lindy Ann Hopley, that's a name you won't forget after you meet her, and some of you watching will likely know of her work. She's done extensive crusade ministry around the world. I'm going to let her tell her story. Lindy Ann, it's a joy to have you here today.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here and to be able to connect with your guests today.
Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to this moment in this chair.
Well, the nutshell version, right? I was wilder than the zoo. He picked me up. He turned me around. He placed my feet on solid ground. My life was forever changed. I had a face-to-face encounter with Jesus. And it really transformed my life to the point where I say, this good news has to go out. And so fast track, 34 countries later, thousands of souls, deliverance, healing, people jumping out of wheelchairs. I always tell people, if God can use me, he can use anyone, right? And so God gave me a word and said to come to America. This was January 2020. And before I knew it, God just drew me in. Obviously, had such a passion for the youth. How can you not? I mean, they are the next generation.
Right.
Even as
the lost generation.
The lost generation. And, my ministry is called Beautiful Witness Ministry. And it really is about the witness of what Jesus has done. And then as a minister, though, having traveled the world, Pakistan, and it's this and it's that, I was convicted. That's why I love the pastors conference that you're hosting. As a minister, realizing we should be governing the earth. Who told us a lie that we should just be on the mission field, which doesn't include ruling and reigning in the influential areas? And so even for myself, I just realized these people are actually discipling the nation with the wrong content. If you've actually seen any of the pornography and stuff that they put in the school books, it's things that I wouldn't even speak to other adults about. It is disgusting and vile. And so as a young person who wished someone told me about Jesus, I was raped as a young girl. I became incredibly promiscuous. And I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I wish that someone had told me the truth. So my passion for youth, amongst many other things, is just like, come on, we have to get in there as the people of God. We actually have to get the kingdom into our curriculum. As you say, 12 years. Now, we have youth ministries, we have this and that and the other, but what's that, an hour a week, 2 hours? If we have them for youth and church, maybe 4. They have more than that one day at a school. So we actually have to be intentional about getting the word of God into our schools, back into our schools, holding our ground, holding the line, because that's what we're here for.
Well, folks, she's exactly right. And Lindy Ann, we haven't had a lot of time to get to know each other.
Yes.
But what we are doing right now is urging parents to get their kids out of these public schools.
Come on.
Because they're being indoctrinated by a false doctrine. And we're not losing our kids in college. We're losing them in the preschool, elementary ages. And what I saw yesterday at the State Board of Education is an overt effort to make sure that they keep those kids. We're in a war right now, Lindy Ann. I refer to it as cultural Marxism.
Yes.
We're being divided not on class warfare and not on economic warfare, but rather spiritual warfare. They're making the pastor in the church the enemy. And the ultimate intent, as communists always do, is to then eliminate those who are the vocal enemy. Well, if they can continue to cast the preacher who says homosexuality is wrong as the enemy, it'll be an easy thing then to take them out. So church family and others that are listening to this, understand that it's a twofold strategy, actually. Get the kids out and send the adults in. We need mature believers teaching, mature believers administrating, and mature believers on these school boards. And so we can change the public school over time, but the immediate threat is our children right now.
Exactly. I agree. When we were talking yesterday, I was looking at what was going on, and I was so shocked as a South African here in America, even just seeing some of the lack of education that some of the people on the board had. And I was like, God, we need our people here. And I would never want them to teach my children. They don't even know what they're talking about. And But the reality is it's meant to be teacher-student. The reason why there are schools, the reason why there are parents is because there is the obviousness of children not being able to make their own decisions at a young age. And that's why God says, train your children in the way they should go. But right now, what they're doing is they're flipping the script, trying to create a rebellion from within our own homes. The one thing that they were trying to push in the one of the bills that they're trying to push is literally where if your parent doesn't call you according to the pronoun that you have chosen, as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-olds, people can't even decide what they want to do with college. They can't even decide what course they want to go. Right. Now you want to give them a blocker because at 5 they decided they want to be a woman or a male and they're not. Maybe Superman, maybe the Tooth Fairy. You want to give them blockers and stopping this whole thing. And the reality is they're trying to rip your authority away as a parent. And they could take you to prison. If it gets pushed through, they could take you to prison for trying to be a parent to your own child.
Well, it's
and
even
that's
more
why
bizarre.
I agree with you, because we got to get them out and take our role back as the authorities God put over the children.
And in the end, I think this might blow your mind. I became aware of this only in the last 7 days. But in Albuquerque, New Mexico, they have kids there now that are choosing to be furriers. And what that is they declare to be an animal.
Exactly.
And in a public high school recently, students watched as one girl led another girl with a leash, and the second girl was on her hands and knees crawling because she's now an animal. And by the way, that's the gateway to bestiality. That's where that's headed.
Exactly. This is exactly what we were talking about yesterday after the hearing. I said, so now you want to say, okay, I'm something that I'm not. And I, as the same person, have to now agree with you to feel compassionate towards you. But the reality is I cannot agree with you when you are not in line with truth. That makes me complicit in that. And you saw it with BLM, you see it with CRT, you see it with all these things I come from apartheid, which is our racial discord that was in South Africa. And all of it ends up becoming like a shame blame game that makes you feel so guilty that you end up complying to something that you know is not right. Know is not true. Like with this, how many parents love their children, but they're struggling with gender confusion. And it is a spirit. And we got to war against it, just like when they struggle with thoughts of suicide or rejection or this or that. We cannot say, yes, this is your identity. We got to pull them out of that nonsense. Then the truth sets them free, not compassion and love, unfortunately. God came with the sword to cut through that. And we said that exact same thing that you're talking about last night. I said, so now if someone says, oh, I feel like I'm a dog, or I'm a this or a that, are we going to say,
I want you to
sure,
repeat what you just said, because you said a lot. But the statement that our viewers need to catch is, truth sets you free, not love and compassion.
Yes.
Because that is the issue of our time. Parents thinking that they're showing love and compassion withhold what they know is the truth, and therefore participate in a lie. That's an incredibly important statement. It is truth that sets you free, and not love and compassion. We should have love and compassion, especially for the lost and those who don't see the truth. But I'll tell you, there's also a time for anger, and a little bit of anger would be appropriate when we have these liars taking our children down this path to destruction. I heard one after the other. By the way, at the hearing, they front-end loaded it with all those who were in favor. And so for about 2 hours, we listened to people pat themselves on the back, give their educational credentials, call themselves experts, and then say, man, we got to get this done.
Yeah.
The pride and arrogance in the educational establishment is breathtaking, and it's antithetical to what God called us to be. He hates pride. Just straight out says it, hates pride.
Yeah.
He hates pride in preachers. He hates pride in successful businessmen. He hates pride in education. And in the educational establishment, as they rank and rate one another based on their brilliance, pride is endemic. And that pride was on display in many of the testimonials we heard yesterday.
You know what I really noticed is the spirit of entitlement that is so rampant, especially here in America. We saw that with the BLM. We saw that with this. And yesterday, as you said, there was a lineup. Even in my first time sitting in a hearing, seeing how they literally had their first lineup, were all trained to say the same thing, all pushing it to move forward. Now, obviously, they're actually got a whole new board coming in by November new voting going on January next year, February, and they were trying to sneak this in to push their agenda before it was meant to really come in and be decided. Why would you try and push something in the last few months before you go, right?
Lindy is a South African who's come on a mission to America, but our passion is getting people to vote. And let me just clarify that the elections are actually in November, and November the 8th, school board members to the State Board of Education will be elected, and there are some godly candidates. This ministry, by its nature, can't be pro one or the other, but we're pro-godliness, and you need to take the time to get to know the candidates because some of them truly reflect your values, and they're trying to make a change, and that's why getting our vote out on November the 8th is so important. Then they'll take office in January. In these concluding moments, Lindy Ann, tell them where they can contact you, your website, and how they can get in touch with you.
Well, thank you so much for being able to share. It's just amazing. And yes, we need all hands on deck right now like never before. I'd love to connect with you at beautifulwitness.com. We are all about revival everywhere and equipping you to do what Jesus has called you to do. So you can find me everywhere on social media. My name is Lindy Ann Hopley. Otherwise, go to our website, beautifulwitness.com, and all the links are there.
And my name is Rick Scarborough. We've been recovering America. That's what we do.
Amen.
Our website is recoveramerica.com. You can contact me at info@recoveramerica.com. Thank you for watching today.